And greetings and welcome to the QCast. This is season 5, episode 26. It's a 2 QCast day. Earlier today, I talked to Nick Roper from the Illinois Wesleyan men's basketball team. That was a fun episode. And this one will be as well. I'm really thrilled to have Sawyer White from the Illinois Wesleyan women's basketball team join me. Sawyer, you're home for the holidays. You're in Downers Grove. How is everything going for you?
It's been good. First off, thank you for having me. But no, it's been super fun. It's been great to just be at home with family. I've gone and worked out twice so far, so
All
still
right.
getting my basketball and cardio and all that, but it's just been a good little reset. So
Well, I know that that's what the coaches worry about, and these when they have to give you guys up for a few days, is like, is everyone staying in shape? And so it sounds to me like you're pretty locked in, Sawyer. Like you,
yeah.
because a lot of what you do is requiring a lot of movement, so you're staying in good shape.
Yes, yes.
Um, Talk to me a little bit about the season so far, Sawyer. I mean, I don't know what else we can say. 10-0, 3-0 in the league. You're rated number 3 in the country. Pretty good chance you're going to bump up to 2 because I know Wartburg lost.
Mhm.
But just big picture at this point, when you sit here at the holidays looking at 10-0, a number 3 ranking, I mean, what do you say about this season so far?
Yeah, I think to characterize this season, I would say it's definitely been full of hard work. We started with preseason stuff, just team stuff, lifts and all that the first week of school. So we've been the train's been rolling for quite a long time. So I think the 10 and 0 schedule and all those wins and stuff are definitely worth it. And all of our hard work has obviously gone into that. Our number 3 ranking, that kind of speaks for itself, I guess. Just going back to the hard work, everyone shows up to practice, does their job, and then everyone also shows up before practice, after practice to do even more work. And I think that really says just a whole lot about us. So we've really been working hard, and it's been really fun.
Yeah, and the one ranking that matters the most, which is the what's called the NPI,
Mm.
um, you guys are number 1. That's the one that determines who gets into the tournament, how the tournament's seeded. So we can talk about like the D3hoops.com poll being number 3, but gosh, you're number 1 and the one that matters right now.
Mhm.
And your numbers are crazy. Um, you've had some big games so far. I mean, you guys have played an amazing schedule. What's it like year in and year out playing for Coach Smith and the type of schedule that she always has in front of you guys? I mean, it seems like every other game you're playing some ranked team.
Mhm. Yeah, I think it's been a really great challenge for us. Obviously, we go into the season and we're prepared to try and win every single game and do the best that we can. But having those games that they don't mean more than the other games. Every game means the same. We need to win all of them. That's the mindset. But having those games where they are going to be tough battles and they are going to be our biggest challenges at that point in the season are really important for us. They help us kind of focus in on what we need to work on the most. I know there's been some games that we've played and okay, when we look back at it, we see we really need to fix this or we really need to work on this. Um, so working and playing those hard games are really just helpful for us. And obviously this season we've come out on top for all of them. But that just goes back to the whole team is just totally locked in to our team, our coaches, and everything that we do. So it's been definitely challenging. All the games that we go into, it's not just a walk in the park, especially because we have a target on our back, being so high in the rankings. But I don't think anyone overlooks any games, and that's what really makes us successful.
You're coming off of that win over Chicago, 71-52. Chicago came into that game ranked 18th, I believe, and it was another one of these really high profile games. And it was a game that, quite frankly, you dominated. Once you started pulling away, you really led by a comfortable margin the rest of the game. It's funny because I thought it was an awesome performance, and then I listened to Coach Smith in the post game, and she's like, "We didn't do this right. We didn't do this right." I mean, the bar's pretty high for this team, right? When she can dig in and find a lot of stuff she did not like about a 19-point win against a ranked team. She has high expectations for you, Sawyer. Am I saying that correct?
Yes. Yeah, definitely high expectations. And we want to try our best to um exceed her expectations. Obviously, we're not going to be perfect and we're always going to find things to work on because that just always
Right.
happens. But I think that we work hard. Sometimes there might be some slip ups, like in the Chicago game. But it's nothing that we can't handle and it's nothing that we can't come back from. And we work on it in practice and we try our best. And if it doesn't happen one game, it for sure gets done the next.
Yeah, it's really been impressive when you look at the full resume. Some of these standout wins. There was the thrilling win near Thanksgiving just before over Whitewater,
Mhm.
84-78. It was a game that you guys played incredibly down the stretch of a game that you had a lead, lost the lead, had to get it back. The game at WashU was really a fun one, right? Is that's another one where you trailed a little bit. I think it was maybe down 6 or 8 at the half
Mhm.
and played great in the second half. The game at Carroll is another one you guys had to kind of scrap and claw. Maybe didn't have your best game, found a way to win. And then I mentioned Chicago. It's got to feel pretty good. So playing those type of games, you get into the CCIW again after Texas, right? I think you start you have at Wheaton, but you're really battle tested, right? When you go into these league games, you've played such a great schedule. Talk about how much that helps playing in the conference after that schedule.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think that any of us overlook any team. Obviously going into turn or CCIW games, it's just one game at a time, but having those, like you said, battle tested games, really unites us, I think. And so when it comes to games that maybe aren't as high intensity or along those lines, we know what we can do to still win. And it's also a great opportunity for our bench to go in as well. I think the eight of us that are mostly in the rotation, we really work our hardest, especially in games that may be a little bit easier for us to get those bench players in. They really help us every day in
Sure.
practice as well. They're our scout team. When we're doing shell, we're on different teams, things like that. So we really just try our hardest to get everyone playing time. And if that means we only end up playing 15 minutes and bench gets to play more than that, we're happy for them. And I really think it just goes back to our team dynamic and everyone wants to excel, everyone wants to do great. So I think it's really a testament to our team and especially our coaches.
Let's talk for a second just about non-hoop stuff. You're a junior this year.
Mhm.
What are you studying at Illinois Wesleyan, and do you have kind of a thought of after you graduate what the plan is? Let's let everyone hear kind of what you're studying first.
Yeah, so I'm an elementary education major, so I want to be a teacher. I'm also trying to get a physical education endorsement, so I may end up a PE teacher one day, so we'll see.
That's great.
Um, but yeah, my plan right now obviously is just I have student teaching in the fall, so Wesleyan's a little bit different where we do our student teaching in the fall instead of the spring of our senior semester. So I'll be in basketball season next fall while I'm doing student teaching, so that should be fun. Um, and then I just find a teaching job after that, but
That's really cool, and that's kind of that YD3 thing, right? It's such a different setup than maybe at the Division 1 level where and you guys truly are student athletes. You're students by a mile before you're athletes. What's that balance like? And at this level, Division 3, I don't think you spend any less time working and preparing on the sports side. But then again, you're truly students first. Like, what's the balance like here for you, Sawyer?
yeah, I think we have a few different elementary education majors on the team as well. So Mackenzie Huber's one, Liv Myers, and Peyton Jacob. So the four of us are all elementary education majors. So we're in and out of the classroom a lot. Wesleyan does a great job of having us in the classroom from the very first semester. So you kind of learn to balance, I guess, that load of going into the school, coming to practice, doing your homework, writing those papers, things like that. And then for the people that have a little bit harder majors, like Martha Lippick and even Lauren Huber, Kate Palmer, they have some tough majors, so they're always pretty much doing their homework on the bus
Sure.
after games. They do a really great job of finding that balance. But I think one thing Coach Smith always preaches academics first, and really celebrates. I know the team GPAs just came out as well.
Saw that.
Um, and she really celebrates good grades and really puts an emphasis on that. And when I was getting recruited here, that was one of her big points was our team is very, very um, academically locked in besides athletics.
Sure.
Um, so academics are very important to us, and I don't think anybody takes going to Wesleyan for academics lightly, and I think it's a big emphasis on our team.
Let's talk about recruiting a little bit. You just mentioned that, so I'm curious. You're such a great athlete. Talk about like what were the sports that you played kind of growing up, like in high school type time in your life? What sports were you playing?
Just basketball and soccer. Originally, I wasn't even sure if I wanted to go play basketball. In college, I was very much wanting to go for soccer my freshman,
Sure.
sophomore years. So I honestly wasn't even looking at basketball. I was kind of taking a look at some bigger, like D2, a few small D1 schools for soccer. Just looking at them, no offers or anything, but really thinking that that's what I wanted to do. And then junior year, when we got all those AAU tournaments back after COVID, and then just a few different coaches coming to our open gyms and things like that at Montini, really just opened up my eyes that maybe soccer wasn't the end all be all, and I wanted to keep playing basketball, and obviously it all worked out for me.
Yeah, and you came to Illinois Wesleyan to play two sports, correct? And did you play soccer for a period of time, did you say?
Yes, freshman and sophomore year.
2 years of and what was the decision then to step away from soccer, which probably was a tough decision because you'd been playing that probably your whole life. What was that decision based on to step away and just focus on basketball?
Yeah, I think going into my sophomore year, obviously I played a decent amount of time for basketball my freshman year. So going into my sophomore year, I knew that I was going to have that opportunity again, and I really wanted to excel. So I think going into sophomore year soccer season, I was really nervous about getting injured. That was one of my biggest things is if I get injured, there's no basketball season. So I would thank the Lord I didn't get injured during soccer season at all. I was able to finish it out. Then I went straight into basketball, but I think the biggest thing for me was I didn't want to get injured. If I got
Sure.
injured and I had to miss a basketball season, I think it would just be very emotional for me, and I did not want that. And then the second thing was just to kind of preserve my physical and mental well-being. I think in college athletics, playing two sports, you're going from, especially because soccer is in the fall, and then I go right
Right.
into basketball in winter. It's mentally taxing a little bit just because you're constantly having to be locked in. You always have practice, you always have two games a week. It's a lot. Um, and then just physically as well. Obviously, I played all 90 minutes of almost every single game my freshman and sophomore
Right.
year. So it was physically a lot as well. And I
I'll
think
bet.
just for what was best for me was to kind of step away from soccer, and I knew we were gonna have a great team coming into this season, and I wanted to give it my all, and I didn't want to be behind everyone else and have to play this catch-up game. So ultimately it was a really hard decision for me because our soccer coach, Coach Bakardon, would really took it um hard when I told him the news. He kind of saw it coming though, but um it was a lot, but ultimately the best decision for me. So,
Well, and obviously on the hoop side, things are going great. So we got to get into kind of you as a player on the basketball team. And you just hit 200 steals,
Mhm.
and that in I mean you're only what not even halfway through your junior year, so your steal totals your freshman year you had 54 of them, your sophomore year 112, and you already have 34 here your junior year through just 10 games. uh, in terms of the type of player you are, when I think of what you do on the floor, the defensive side certainly pops into my head quickly because you are all over the opponents trying to handle the ball. Wherever that ball goes, you are all over the place, which is why you have a million steals. Is that always, Sawyer, how you played? Like, was that your game in high school? Is that something that evolved out of this run and jump style that you play now? Or talk about how the heck you became this elite stealer of the basketball.
Yeah, I don't in high school, my freshman year, I basically only played JV basketball. I was on the roster for varsity and would get in at the end of games. But we have a really long history at Montini for the past however many years that we've had a lot of D1 players. So I was not going in for offense, I was going in for defense.
Sure.
So it kind of started my fresh end of freshman into sophomore years, mostly just going in for defense. And then junior year and senior year, we had a coaching change and we had some girls from the previous team leave. And so it was kind of a brand new team, brand new coach, brand new program almost. And I really just wanted to excel. So I really stepped up the defensive part, but also my offensive part as well, and just put more emphasis on getting to the basket and confidence and things like that. But I've always kind of been known for defense. But obviously the run and jump um, has really just stepped it up for me.
Right.
I really like playing fast. That was always my thing in high school as well. Like I always wanted to somebody get it out of the hoop and pass it to me and let's go. Like that was always my thing. So coming into Coach Smith's style of play really just suited best for me. And one of the things that drew me to Wesleyan, obviously, but it's been very fun. And the RNJ is probably the most fun part of the game when we get it down and we're getting turnovers and steals and or even just speeding them up. Like
Yeah.
sometimes we'll practice RNJ every day in practice, and sometimes it doesn't always result in a steal. You have the same people pretty much always trying to break the RNJ. So at some point they learn how to always break it. So you have to try something new. You gotta force them a different way or maybe trap immediately or things like that. So um, I don't know. The RNJ is really, really good for our team. And I think it also helps and turns us into our offense as well.
Yeah, and I think if there's ever a fit for a player in a system, it's you in this run and jump system because it allows you to do all the things that you're great at. Um, I remember the WashU game. At halftime we were losing, and I thought we were lucky to be down only 6 or 8, whatever it was. It felt like it could have been 14 or more. Second half, you guys just dialed up the pressure to the point where for 20 minutes in the second half, like they couldn't take care of the ball. I can't remember the turnover total in the second half. It was huge. Um, as far as your role in that in particular, talk through the second half at WashU because you played tons of minutes in that game and
Mhm.
you were on the floor during that period of time I'm talking about. What was your take on the strategy in the second half and how you executed it?
Yeah, I think um, honestly, after we play games and it's been a few weeks, I don't always remember every so I'm gonna try my best. But I think just the first half we were just not playing how we normally play. I think the second half, ramping up the RNJ really helped us. Obviously we were able to get a lot of turnovers and steals.
Right.
So my mindset going in was ramping them up, making them go faster. A lot of times also our steals don't come from the front, they come from the back. So even if that means getting pressure on somebody immediately, and giving opportunities for, I think Mal had maybe 2 or 3 steals in the back. Like she had a bunch of
Right.
steals back. So just ramping it up and making everyone go faster. I think sometimes I can speed myself up so it speeds up other people. So I think that also helped a little bit.
Sure.
But no, we really banded together in that second half. And everybody that came in contributed a lot and just getting our RNJ sped up and knocking down big shots, taking it to the basket, getting called for and ones, or even just going to the free
Right.
throw. It all really added up and helped us.
And I know from talking to Coach Smith, I did a season preview with her, that one of the things she mentioned about you was she wanted you to shoot more, and you've definitely found some spots this year. Your shot looks great, and are you cognizant of that? Like, I'm sure she stays on you about that. As like, Sawyer, when you're open, shoot it. Are you comfortable with that? I know you're probably not the type to look for your shot first. She's kind of trying to force you there. So how's that going for you?
Yeah, no, it's been good. I think I've been looking for my shot more. I think it's a little hard as well because sometimes I play the one a lot.
Right.
Sometimes KP will play the one, sometimes Ava will play the one when we're all in together. So I start a lot of the plays, especially if we get scored on, we take it out under the basket and I look for the head-to-heads. So I think a lot of our scoring comes from the transition, which is obviously our motto. But I am looking for my shot more. I think there are a few times, like I was just training with my trainer at home, Sarah Bali, Laura Malum, and I all go to him. And he's kind of talking to us about how sometimes like he sees lanes that we can take, and especially me, he thinks I can shoot it a little further than I normally do, or I can look for my shot a little bit more. And so it's definitely something I'm still working on. I have the confidence to do so, but I think I'm always kind of looking for the one more pass or the
Right.
hit ahead or something like that. But it makes our team go. So if I only score 4 points a game, I'm okay with that. If somebody else
Right.
scores 20, so
Talk about, if you would, this upcoming trip to Texas. So it's going to be fun, and I've looked at the weather forecast. I think you guys are in for some like high 60s, maybe 70. That's going to feel good for you coming from up in the Chicago area. You're going to play Trinity of Texas at their place. That's a great program on the 27th. And then the next day, you play ETBU, East Texas Baptist University. That's on the 28th. So you get a couple good teams. First, let's just talk about the games again, like having to get yourself ready after being off and
Mhm.
then facing some good teams. That should be another good test for the Titans, right? Those two that you have down there in San Antonio.
Yeah. I think everyone's been doing a great job of getting in training sessions, cardio and all of that at home, or trying their best to. So I think we have practice on the 26th, so we'll go and practice and then we fly out and then we have our game. Our first game is on the 27th at
Yeah,
6 o'clock, I think. So it'll be a good game. I know Trinity, Texas, they were receiving votes for a while. I don't know if they still are. I haven't checked in a little bit, but that'll be a good game for us. Another great test. And then the next day playing ETBU. They just beat Wartburg.
yeah,
Yes, so that again will be a great test. So we should have two really, really good games. I know a lot of our families are making the trip down too, so it'll just be a great environment for us. The weather's supposed to be like 75, 80 degrees, something like that.
absolutely. You're gonna, yeah,
Um,
believe me, Texas weather
yeah.
in December, pretty darn good, Sawyer. Like, sometimes I miss snow, but only like once a year. Once a year, I wish down here in Dallas that it snowed, and after that, I'm pretty happy that like I'm golfing uh, on a Saturday. And then, did I hear you say on the post game against Chicago? Did I hear you say you guys are going to the Alamo Bowl? Is that
Yeah.
correct?
We play our game on the 28th at 3. So we got to move back an hour. So we're playing at 3 and then we're getting changed, showering, whatever, and then going to the Alamo Bowl. So we'll be there that night. And then the following day, we're doing um, a Riverwalk boat tour, I believe.
Oh boy, the
And then,
Riverwalk.
yeah. And then there's one other thing that we're doing. I just can't remember. But so it'll be fun. A lot of outdoor stuff. We're excited. There's not a lot of snow on the ground, but there's a good amount. So it'll be a white Christmas here, but it'll be a Texas Christmas trip
It'll be
there.
a Texas Christmas for sure. And then when you come back, you don't have that much time that all of a sudden you're back in the CCIW for the rest of the way, right? You go January 4th, you're at Wheaton,
Mhm.
and then it's game on, and you're sitting here in great shape. You're 3-0 in the league. You've already got a road win at Carroll, which is big. But this is your third year. Like sometimes you got to throw the records out in some of these games. You get in a tough game, could be at home even, certainly on the road, where some team on paper you're supposed to beat, you're tied with 4 minutes to go. How do you look at Sawyer this upcoming CCIW season that you're 3 games into and kind of grinding through this to try to win another title?
Yeah, well, Wheaton, who we play January 4th, they were in a really good game with UW Whitewater until the final 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah,
Um, so I don't think there's no game that we overlook. We know, I think we're very confident in our abilities. And we play humbly. We don't play outside of ourselves. We know what we can do, what we can't do. We band together, we stay together. There's no game that we overlook, which is, I think, very important. So when we get to a Wheaton game or a Carroll game, we don't think about how we're 10 and 0, 3 and 0, anything
right.
like that. We just go and we play and play to the best of our abilities and hope to win, play to win. But one game at a time. And it's really emphasized by all of our coaches as well, not overlooking anything, any game, any opponent. There's some really good players on some of the teams that we play, and we really put an emphasis on shutting them down and playing to the best of our ability. So if we come out with a win, we played hard and we tried our best. Obviously, we don't hope for a loss, but we're always playing super hard
Sure.
and to the best of our abilities. So,
Just wonder when you look at the national scene, and then we'll wrap this up. Is like NYU's rated number one. They have all the number one votes. They won the national championship last year. That almost the whole team came back. They might be better this year. Have you ever like spent a night watching a half of an NYU game? Or have you guys watched NYU play at all? I'm just curious.
last season I did a few different times. This season, not so much. I know I at least have watched when Wartburg was actually in Texas. I tuned in for those games. But we always, I would say, we do a pretty good job of just following the schedules. So if
Sure,
Carol's playing this game, we're all watching on our phones. Kind of like the men's
sure,
team. The men's team just had their game against WashU and everyone's at home, but everyone's putting on the WashU IWU men's basketball game. So we kind of do, at least I do. I look and I try and find games to watch because I personally just love watching basketball. Any college basketball is fun to
sure.
watch for me. So.
And I asked Nick Roper this morning about this. I asked him about the women's team, so I better ask you about the men's team. What are your impressions? I know you've been to some games, and they were at your Chicago game. They're what, 9-1. You guys are 10-0. They are equally as like deep and talented. So when you watch the men's team play, what's your impressions of how they're doing?
Yeah, I think they're doing obviously a great job. They're very fun to watch. I think they have so many weapons on their team. If one person, it's kind of like us a little bit. I would
Yeah.
compare like if one person's having a bad game or somebody can't
Yep.
shoot the ball, there's three other people that are excelling. So I think we're very, very similar and it's been super fun. I know we're very close with the men's team and we love to hang out with them and support them at their games and they come to ours. So it's a great family feel. Obviously we have our women's basketball family, but then I think just the overall basketball family.
Yeah.
Um, we see the same fans that go to the men's game come to our games, or um, we're shooting around at in the same gym. We're over here, they're over there. If we're getting extra shots up or things like that. So I think there's just kind of a mutual agreement that we're all kind of one big basketball family and we're there for each other. Even if that means coming to a game or watching a game when we're at home with our families, I
Sure.
think that just goes back to the support and love that we all have for each other.
And I agree. The two teams are very similar. in how deep and balanced they are. Because I mean, if you look at you guys, like there could be a game where Mallory is just on fire and she's the leading scorer, or it could be Ava or Kate or Lauren or Hugh or Sarah, whoever, right? So like you never really know. They're the same way as Nick Roper's the leading scorer, but Mason Funk has led the team the last couple games. You have Trey Bazell, you have Hakeem, you have Harrison, like so many different options. The two teams are very similar in that regard, and that you have so much talent. So it's a fun year for hoops at Illinois Wesleyan. Final question for you, and then we'll get into just final thoughts. Is your expectations, Sawyer, of the rest of the season? I mean, look, you're 10-0. You're ranked number 3, probably heading up to number 2. It's hard to avoid saying that like there's huge expectations, but all that matters is what you and your teammates are looking at here. How do you look at the rest of the way and how good this team can be and kind of where you want to end up in this journey this season?
Yeah, I think obviously Christmas break is pretty much almost halfway through our season. So we know when we come back from break, it's go time, and we only have 3 months left until, and it seems like a lot, but the weeks go by quick, practices, all that, like all of it goes by so quick. And so I think especially for the senior class as well, they've talked a lot about how they're just kind of taking it all in, and it's their last time playing basketball for
Right.
Wesleyan. Um, and I know especially Kate Palmer and Mallory, they are really just they've talked to us a lot about it, but just taking it all in and not taking any game for granted. And um, obviously our whole team, we want to do very well. And it's hard not to look ahead because
Yeah.
we know we have the talent and we know that this is a special year. And we've been battle tested so many times and we've come out on top because of how hard we play. And so I think it's hard not to look ahead. But it's very exciting. And I think to be a part of it has just been the most fun ever. And I think this just experience has been so, so just fun. I don't know. I don't like have really the words for it, but obviously it's hard not to look ahead. And we know that we have the talent to get however far we get,
Yeah.
and we're practicing hard and we're doing all the things that we're supposed to. But obviously, like I said, just one game at a time and really locking into each other. I think our team is very close this year. And so when somebody scores, everyone is happy for that person. And it's a very, very connected, like I said, family feel. But it's so fun. And we're so excited to see how far we can get. But obviously one game at a time.
And just kind of in wrapping up, I'll provide a few final thoughts, and then I'm going to turn it over to you for anything to close us out today. But I would say exactly what you said about how like much fun it appears you guys have. Your bench energy is incredible. So like I was watching the Chicago game, and I can't remember which reserve made a shot, but I mean everybody was up and going crazy rooting for whoever that was that made that shot. And in starters are the same way. I mean, the way you guys are connected on the floor, it just seems like a really cohesive team that likes each other and roots for each other and likes competing with each other. So it's fun to watch you guys play. I've used the word since like week 1 that this is a special season for your team, and it is. Like just watching you play, the sky's the limit here. I mean, every game's going to be a little bit of a grind in its own way, but I mean, you guys have a chance, Sawyer, to do some cool stuff, and we'll all be rooting for you. What would you say in closing? We'll have certainly Titan Nation tuning into this QCast. We'll have some interested Division 3 fans that want to see a little more about what these Titans are about, checking out Sawyer White. What would you leave everyone with today? You'll have Montini Catholic Nation certainly tuning in, Sawyer. But what would you leave us with today on the QCast?
I think that it's a fun, fun team to be on. And I think when you if whoever comes to games or watches online or whatever, I think that you can feel the energy and feel the love that we have for each other. I think a lot of that has to do with our families are all fantastic supporters. A lot of them are traveling to Texas, which is I know my parents are going and it's a 18-hour drive or something like that. So I think the support that we have just makes it so fun and exciting for us. But we're just a bunch of teammates who love each other and genuinely love to play basketball, and there's nobody that's bigger than the team. I think we're all very humble in that regard, that you're only as good as the person next to you, and there's a mutual understanding on our team that everyone brings the same strengths to the team. Everyone is important to our team, and I think that's something that you maybe don't always see on other teams. But it's something that's really emphasized for us. And I think our coaches and our captains and everyone else on the team, we all do a great job of really cheering on those next to us. And I think that just kind of contributes to the whole thing and why it is so fun to be a part of. And it is fun to watch. And I keep using the word fun, but it's very, very exciting, if I had to put it that way.
Well, I hope you guys keep having fun. And I'm gonna keep rooting for a lot of steals. Like what a great stat for someone to take pride in, right? It's not like someone chasing a points milestone where you end up taking terrible shots trying to chase some. I mean, trying to play defense and get the ball away from someone, and like we can keep celebrating that milestone and those records all season long. You're a joy to watch play, Sawyer. You really are. Like the way you play basketball is what I would say, like the right way. Like you play the game the right way on both ends of the floor. And I love these little flurries in the game where you're just running across my little screen over here and over here. And like you got your hand on it all over the place. We have a million steals going on. It's fun to watch you play. I wish you the best of luck. I wish the timing's terrible. I can't see you guys in Texas. The men are here. I'm hosting the men at dinner at our house the night you're playing in Trinity. The timing couldn't be worse. But I look forward to seeing you up at the Shirk Center. I'll be coming up for sure. And you guys keep hooping. And I can't thank you enough, Sawyer, for your time while you're on break joining the QCast. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.